going to introduce our very first speaker today, which is one of our longest standing board members that we have on our board currently, Dani Green, who, like I said, is our absolutely indispensable secretary. And Dani's going to share life lessons from the Soul Power Experience, which is one of her signature programs. So Dani has been a client-centered hypnotherapist since 2015. Dani's loving presence is key to her transformative work with clients. She guides clients towards a life of love, joy, and peace. The process involves releasing life-draining emotions and listening to and learning from one's true essence. Dani is the creator of the Soul Power Experience, the One and Done Weight Release, and Be Smoke Free. Dani also offers intuitive hypnosis sessions, and as an ordained minister, Dani writes and officiates both weddings and funerals. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Dani Green.
Thank you so much. And I want to make sure that everyone has a packet for today, which gives you the contact information for each of the speakers. And there's room to take notes. Great. If you don't have a packet, just raise your hand and we'll get one to you right now. Super. So on December 31st, 2014, at 5:30 in the afternoon, I left my church job because God said I should. And I said, okay, God, what else do you have out here for healing and transformation? Because isn't that transformation is just something that we all look for. We want to evolve emotionally, relationally, we just want to grow. So in 2019, I launched the Soul Power Experience. So what I'm going to share with you today is actual client stories, and each story will have that moment of transformation where their lives change. And imagine, so listen for that, feel it, because isn't that what we feel when we're working with clients? And then also you can imagine the ripple effect of that healing in their relationships, their community, and the world. A person comes in with a story that was limiting, painful, and life-draining. And then as they relax and think deeply, everything begins to shift. They see themselves, their relationships, and the world differently. They have a perspective that is more deeply true, more peaceful, and strengthening, elevating their consciousness and their ability to thrive. This higher level of truth can change how they react to the world, eliminating nervous habits and help them feel more in love with themselves and others. I trust you will gain from all these heartwarming stories about what is deeply true for them and all of us in the human family, past, present, and future. I first presented the outline of the Soul Power Experience at an NGH Law chapter meeting. At a meeting in June of that year, I told them I was writing a program, and they agreed I could present it in August. So as a person with ADHD, I had a deadline, which was golden. It gave me 2 months to come up with the structure that I was writing. Jim Kellner and other members were so encouraging. They believed I could do it, and they wanted to hear what I had to say. So here are my client stories that reveal the beauty and joy of discovering inner truth generated by a client's superconscious mind. Feel and experience the power of transformation. Light, love, power, and wisdom. A 48-year-old female came, and what I do is I just see if light, love, power, and wisdom is flowing in the person's body, and if not, remove anything that blocks it. So she could discern her light is connected with her inner being, her divine connection to God. She was a Christian, and her soul in her heart area. She felt her personal power, and she had many sources of wisdom from which to draw. But then when it came to love, she couldn't sense that it was flowing through her body. But eventually, this is what she discovered. Jesus said, "You are loved, worthy, accepted, valued, a treasure, adored, important, strong, special, kind, and good. God said you are whole, my child, have special gifts, a good heart, and a strong essence." The Holy Spirit of love was like a warm blanket wrapped in love. Then she saw a field of dirt with a hole dug by Jesus. In it, she put all negative feelings and events from the past. God blessed and transformed these things as they turned into light. So her eyes were closed, but she was seeing fireworks. So her expression just changed to awe. It was beautiful. God made all things clean and pure. She felt happy, hopeful, peaceful, and grateful. She said the healing was gentle. Emotions. A 79-year-old female lost her husband to a 10-year journey with cancer. Now she has to maintain the yard and the house and get it ready to sell. She dreaded the necessity of moving to the East Coast into the house of her only family with drastically different views and moving away from her friends. She wanted to be able to handle these changes better. Her husband would sit and meditate, but she had never been able to. She suffered from anxiety and thought loops, which prevented her from moving ahead with these important decisions that she was facing. Now she can stay in a meditative state for 15 minutes, which is more than I can say. Her fingernails are grown out. I didn't even know that was a problem. She was sleeping better. She listens to meditation before bed and when she awakens. Here's the point of transformation for her. In my learning video for this session, she learned that emotions were in her body and could be released. Previously, she thought emotions are only in her head, and she could not escape negative thought patterns. She realized, excuse me, she could release difficult emotions and lessen the effect on her thoughts. Meditation and release became her lifeline. She has her own sense of her body, her inner self, and her spirit. She sold her house and moved to the East Coast. Beliefs. A 50-year-old male had deep negative thought patterns. He wanted to be supported by his own spirituality and feel better about himself. He was not happy with himself and his accomplishments. Others were younger and more accomplished. He began to realize the story he was telling himself had not been accurate. In hypnosis, he created inner mantras as absolute truths that he used to change his thinking, his business, and his life. And these are the mantras that he discovered. I am success. I am confident. I am creative. I am wealthy. I'm unstoppable. I am powerful. I am happy. I'm excited. I'm growing in self-love. I'm more determined. I'm revitalized. I'm ingenious. I'm resourceful. I'm powerful. I'm compassionate. I'm healthy. I create from my heart with flow and compassion and excitement. I will compare myself to me. I work hard. I care. I'm moving forward. I will exceed my goals. It's okay to be interdependent. My true power has always been with me. I look within to see my power. I feel my power and believe my power. It's fun and exciting to experience my true power. My true power is light and unstoppable. My true power is not afraid. My true power knows I'm on the right path, even if difficulty is meant to be on my path. My true power is with me, empowering, light, refreshing, good, excited, and enthusiastic. My true power gives me energy. I am here. I am free to be me. I can achieve whatever I want to achieve. I'm unstoppable. I'm caring, compassionate, creative. I'm emotional, energetic, and willing to help. I'm a leader among my peers. I am knowledgeable, and I make a difference. Behaviors. A 46-year-old male served in the armed services for 12 years, right out of high school. Then he became a successful employee by moving up the ranks at his current job. He also has a successful weekend business. However, these beliefs were that there were beliefs that were affecting his stress level. He would become nauseous and overreactive because of stress. So that's a behavior he wanted to change. But these are his beliefs driving that stress. If I make one bad decision, it could all crumble. The world is evil. I'm living on the edge, just one step, I could fall. I'm on all the time. If I stop moving, I will die. So he's halfway through my program. Those are the ones that we've worked on and fixed so far. Joining the armed services out of high school somehow created an us versus them mentality of watching for the enemy. However, just before his moment of transformation, I asked him how the armed services benefited him. And this is what he said. The armed services, I learned how to build strength and independence, analyze situations, think critically, be organized, and learn about personalities and people's backgrounds. Until that moment, he had not realized the benefit. So then I knew he was ready to tackle a work issue. He and other leaders had just attended an in-person meeting with regional employees of this organization. I understood it felt like war. So I asked if he could put himself in the doorway of the room and asked if he could look at the employees with eyes of love. After a moment of consideration, he said, "That would be very hard." So we go deeper, right? Somehow I generally made the parallel between looking for the enemy in the armed services and looking for the enemy in that regional meeting. And the benefits of being in the armed services, and perhaps the benefit of being in this meeting. I said, look for the benefits, feel the love within you, and see things differently. I asked him to use his imagination to walk in, look at the panel of his peers, which were like his combat buddies. And as he sat down up front, look at the employees, the enemy, with the energy of love from his body as it flowed from him. After a few long minutes, he slowly said, yes. I knew in that moment we had solved the issue of employees being the enemy. So that tool is called the love stare. If you're staring at someone, just stare at someone with as much love as you could just generate from your whole being, and it helps you feel love within yourself, and it communicates love. So that's what I was suggesting he does at his work. Life as teacher. A 57-year-old female was a very successful real estate agent, but she couldn't get organized enough to hire an assistant to support her workload. She was also married to an alcoholic and had some health goals she was trying to meet. During the Life as Teacher session, my client spoke of the time when her mean brother threw a piece of wood at her. She was 7 years old. The wood had a nail in it that went into her leg and made a scar. She became mad and frightened that day. However, she told herself, I want out of this family. The personal power of that moment compelled her to leave her family at the age of 16 and later become a successful real estate agent. Her new mantra that she wrote that day is, I am strong, and I am stronger than I think I am. She became thankful for this event because of how it propelled her forward. After addressing other emotional issues, she was able to hire an assistant and continue on her path to success. Money. No, this story is about me. I grew up with a bipolar single mom who had 4 children to care for, and although she couldn't maintain a job, We were poor. So two helpful statements from my money lesson are, divine flow comes into my life and outflows lovingly through me. I'll repeat that because you want to write it down, don't you? Divine flow comes into my life and outflows lovingly through me. So I am blessed when others pay me, and I get an amen. And I'm blessed when I pay others for anything. It's just a continued flow, a blessing. But the other mantra that I love, it's abundance is everywhere. And I'm just going to give you an example for it. Now, if you just look at the fiber in your clothes, you can't possibly count the fiber in your clothes. If you look at the trees, you can't count the leaves or the grass, or like the asphalt that makes up your road. There's abundance everywhere. And as soon as you see it, you cannot unsee it. The second statement is, abundance is always giving to me. Your car gave you a ride here. Those chairs are giving you a place to sit. The trees are giving us oxygen and taking up carbon dioxide. The beauty of nature, if you can see that abundance is always giving to me, it just makes life so exciting. I taught these mantras to my grandson last week. And then I accept abundance so that you're open to accepting, seeing that everywhere. All right. I am. A 47-year-old female wondered what she wanted to do with her life as her son would graduate from high school that year. She would have time to pursue a career. We worked through many emotional issues. Getting to core state, she said, I am the essence of love. In that moment, she felt close to God and close to herself and knew that any next step would be okay. Oh, 5 minutes, good. Self-empowerment. A 66-year-old female, as a 6-year-old, had a violent reaction to her mother, telling her no. For 60 years, she felt like a bad person. We were able to discover that her parents were not relationally capable. And it was her circumstances that created the violent reaction. Later that week, she was driving and the thought came to her for the first time in her life, I love you, Lori. And she began to giggle. Of course, she said her own name, and that wasn't her real name. But for the first time, she felt self-love. It just came as she was driving. My client's brother passed away. He was her one safe person. She was concerned that he would end up in a difficult place because he wasn't spiritual. We were able to talk to her brother, and he said he saw how she had grown as a person throughout her life, and that he was working on himself too. In that next round, he was working on himself, and then she was happy about it. So the next is ReaLife, and it's just a strategy where you feel your feet, you feel life as it's coming, and then you bring this issue to your heart, and then you bring it to the sky, the universe, and it transforms what you think. So this was a session I had just yesterday. So my client felt it was weird that last year Maui burned and this year California is burning. So he's very concerned about the fires, but he thought it was weird. He said, it's been poking me all week. And so I asked in session, I said, you might be asking why me or what's next, but why not me? Maybe you're the one that can handle this situation. So, and we talked about the fire, the devastation of the homes. And then we moved the issue to his heart, and we were able to see that really what matters the most, more than homes, is the connection, that people survived and they're together and they have their animals. So it shows you the beauty of life. And then when we moved it to the universe, we could see that, fires and floods happen in the universe, and those that die are in a next realm. And he was just able to handle the issue of the California fires better. Now, of course, my house is standing, so who am I to talk? And his is too. So this is on forgiveness. A 36-year-old female needed to forgive her mom for forcing her into a youth program in Utah. She missed her uncle's death and her mom sold the family home and threw away most of her belongings. So here's her client metaphor journey. I get coffee, I go to the car and I sit for a moment. I see all these stories, old stories before me. I'm driving away from the chaos and the loud noises of a gigantic city on fire. I see all those old stories in my rear view mirror. I turn a corner and another corner and another corner. And these are some of the truths. I've surrendered to let it go. The old story is about her, not me. I'm following my intuition now. I don't care what people think. I feel like there's a new story, new vibes. I've moved through and I need to move on. That old story is a deep hole, dead and buried, covered with cement, paved over like a road. Utopia. Another forgiveness story. A 34-year-old male was a friend of a friend who I had met personally, but we met over messenger call. He did not want to be on video. So there was no way for me to keep track of his emotions, just other than the sound of his voice. He was on time for every session and never rescheduled. 1 minute, okay. His words were, I don't want to die. So what happened, he had been in foster care, but he was a grown man now, and his stepdad kept yelling at him and being emotionally abusive, and so he couldn't stand up to his stepdad, and that just disheartened him, and he became suicidal. So we reenacted that whole thing, and he was able to feel his personal power, and he told his stepdad, no, and get used to it. Those were the words of transformation. He was able to, he got his old job back, he works online, and he got his whole life back. He said, I've done a mental 180. I have so much more truth and wisdom to empower me day to day. All right. And then in the projection lesson is, we had a client who she was just kind of grumpy. Have you had grumpy clients? They're just kind of grumpy people. But in the projection lesson, she realized, I'm annoyed with myself. So that was good. All right. So the last one is bliss. Believe life is simple and satisfying. I had a client who was very anxious. She wanted her husband to sell his business, his property, all of his equipment, and retire on her timeline. And at the end of everything, 12 sessions of helping her, I said, so what about the retirement deadline? She said, I let go of that. We'll see. That's great. All right, so client stories are beautiful, and I just wanted to start out with those so that we can all just celebrate what we do. But